What's happening, folks? Gene here, Double S Podcast, another edition of Shots Fired. Hey, Chess and Checkers here is the name of this one. Before we get going, if you appreciate the Double S and the opinions we throw out, or you don't like the opinions we throw out, but you still appreciate the platform and you want to support the True Patriot Outfitters, make sure up in the corner there's a QR code. Jump on over there. At the very least, go smash the subscribe button for us. Leave us a comment. Always love to hear other opinions or your comments just in general on the topics we're talking about. So the topic we're talking about today here, and this came up from a couple conversations I had and that I overheard as well. And what this really boils down to is when folks ask me about, my views or something off air or my views here, I am like the worst nightmare for both sides because I'm a centrist. All right. I'm somebody with moderate political views. I believe the government's role should be limited to a need, where it's serving the public interest or safety is really what that boils down to. And I don't fall hard right or hard left. And how I've achieved this, I'll tell you this liberation, if you will, which I would gladly hope that others could do the same, is here's the trick. Take the people and the parties out of it. Okay? Seriously, when an idea comes up, stop worrying about where it came from and judge the idea or the philosophy or the ideology, if you will. Judge it based on its merit, its foundation, and a logical conclusion of its usage, right? And if you do that, well, then you no longer have to, like something because you've sworn some liking to some political figure that, quite frankly, doesn't know who you are or care about you one iota. I know that sounds dismal, but it's the truth. It is flat out the truth. I'm sure there's some great people that are in office out there. Okay. I'm not speaking to that. But dude, if you're a politician, I already don't trust you because those opinions get swayed so very often. The best way I can ever gain trust in someone is watching how they operate, watching their actions, not this, man, not the babble, right? So if we were to do this, if we were to take the people and the parties out of this thing, the next question that came up is why folks, say, well, you say that, but yet you still end up agreeing with more the conservative view of things. And yeah, I sure do. I absolutely do. And I find it harder and harder to support or follow things that are coming from the other side. And I'll give you a reason. Matter of fact, I'll give you 3 reasons. And I encourage you, please put the people to the side. Listen to what I'm going to say here. And if you have something, I'm wide open, man, big ears. I'm ready to hear it. If you can to fire back or somehow find some sort of point piece in here that contradicts what I'm about to tell you and show you, because I'm not giving opinion for the next few minutes here. I'm going to tell you exactly and show you exactly what's going on. Here's why I end up falling more towards the conservative view. It's because I am of firm belief based on what we see every day from the outlets, from the speakings, from the press conferences, from the bills that are introduced. I live in Colorado, by the way. From all of this is what I see. One side is over here providing symptomatic resolution. They are going after the symptoms, the immediate response. How do we immediately address things and deal with those situations? While the other side is prescribed more to a causation resolution philosophy, where they're not as worried about the primary symptoms. They're more worried about what caused it and how do we prevent it from occurring again. Okay, at the very least, I am a causation resolution type individual in my head. There's an old Romans saying from back long ago that for every, and I'm going to murder this here, but for every one which hacks at the leaves of evil, there will be Or no, I'm sorry, for every 1,000 that hack at the leaves of evil, there will be one which hacks at the root. Okay? I am the one. That's the way I view things out there, that I believe that is where we find long-lasting resolution. Now, I say this. Allow me to give you examples to support this. Let's talk 3 major topics that are hotbed topics out there. Okay? The first, gun violence in America today. The resolution from the left has been one of harder to get the gun, more restriction on the control. There's been a suggestion of removal of types of guns that people can actually have. There has been enacted legislation out there that has affected who can have a gun, what type of gun. This has been the resolution to gun violence. This is at the very heart, from East Coast to West Coast, in some states more than others. That's been the resolution, because the thought is if you don't have the gun, the violence won't be there. Okay? That's the logic behind this. Remove the gun, we don't have gun violence. Okay. The problem therein is that the other side approaches this with the simple fact that it's not the gun. It's a bigger issue. It's a mental health issue that we're facing with this. And here is why, in my opinion, that is the correct response. Because when you look through any major gun violence study that's out there, they include suicides in the gun violence numbers that they release. In almost all of the major studies that have been done, suicide accounts for, in many of these, accounts for over half of the incidents of death. Tell me that's not a mental health issue. That's not an access to gun issue. That's the first one. One of these is trying to deal with the symptoms. The other's trying to resolve at the heart. Okay? That piece there, these things are not opinion. This is indisputed at this point. The next issue, homelessness. We have a homelessness issue in this country, from children, families, vets, you name it. So, what are the resolutions? The left side's resolution is feed them, clothe them, take care of them. Okay? Big heart. Big thanks. The right side's conclusion to this and resolution is get them off the street. Don't feed them and clothe them and make it easier for them to be on the street. Find resources, spend your time and energy to get them off the street, back into society as a contributing member of society. One's going after the symptoms, one's going after the cause. In that case, I fall to the other side. I fall to the more conservative view on this, that I absolutely applaud and want to help. We need to rectify this situation, but I don't want to give them clothes and food and make it so that they can be out there for longer. I want to get them off the street, then make sure that their needs are being met so that they're in the process of coming back into being a contributing positive member of their local communities. I'm not sure how those two sides can combat one another. Okay, we want the same thing at the end of the day. There's just two different philosophies on how to go about getting it. Last but not least of the examples of one going after the symptoms and the other going after the cause, the economy. I could spend the next 30 minutes here talking about healthcare, about how giving insurance to people and forcing them by law to get that insurance is not going to cure it. The other side says we need to bring the cost of healthcare down, as opposed to just finding ways of insurance to appease it. But the most recent one was that we know, especially here in Colorado, cost of living is ridiculous. It is through the roof for everyone, from lower poverty level income to middle class, high tax paying, biggest tax burden in your community, the middle class folks out there. The cost of living, the tax rates, everything is ridiculously high. So what was the solution to help the lower end individuals? The solution was raise the minimum wage. Give them a livable wage with no training other than high school. That was the solution. Where the other side, the conservative view to this, falls in line of bring the cost down. Stop moving the bar. The issue is the expensive high piece. It's not that people aren't making enough. It's the fact that things are costing too much. Housing and rent and all of these things, cost of living, energy bills. So find a way to bring those, work your efforts to bring those costs down to a more manageable level. I fall to that right side. Okay, that's where my opinion goes. That's the methodology here that, to me, finds long-term success. That's why I have a hard time. Now, again, I could sit here and we could go on for days talking about the democratic socialist movement and who's funded that, who's been behind that, and why I absolutely will fight to my last breath and last drop of blood to prevent socialism from ever making it into this country on a major level, because it is not. That the logic and the information shows it's horrible. So we could talk about that side and how one side supports that. One side's okay with that. And even the people that fall a little bit away from it are not being very loud in their opposition to it. They're still getting behind it and supporting it. And now their major talking heads are now behind it. I can't get behind that. I'm sorry. You're scratching at and you're pulling at threads, and now that is a major pair of scissors to the very fabric of what made this country America and amazing. Socialism is literally communism without the guns. And the next step is the guns. Just is. There's just no way around that. You can't opinion that away. You can't hypothetic that away. It just kind of is what it is. So this is the point. One side's playing chess. The other side's playing checkers. Okay? One side's dealing with the here and the now and the immediate issues and what's going on. The other side says that's not as much a concern as what I am more interested in what is going to be the long-term probable outcome with what we're trying to accomplish. And how do we prevent that from occurring again, as opposed to just throwing good money at bad over and over and over again, or simply trading one for the next, one for the next, one for the next. Because if you don't fix the cause, the root of it, it's going to occur again. And then what? Well, the next level. Well, the next level. The next phase. The next stage. That doesn't work. Hey, let me know what you think, man. These are my examples. This is where we're talking about here. Chess and checkers here. It's why my views do end up landing more to the conservative side these days, because they're at least also willing to debate the stuff. They're willing to talk these ideas through without emotions and getting angry and name calling and things of this nature. So any of my liberal friends out there, I encourage you, if you can, if you're able, throw me your factually based opinions and ideas out here, and let's have a conversation on it. I have no problem. I have a lot of very liberal individual friends that I love dearly. And I don't think anything less. I just look at life a little bit different than they do. And if that's okay, still in that realm, which I know that can be a funny one, then comment here. Let me hear it. And let's talk it out. Let's figure things out. I'll tell you what, I don't fret things so much in the future anymore. I don't put people on pedestals. I don't look to political figures or parties for some sort of false identity of some kind. I don't need to be a part of that group. The group that I'm a part of is American citizens. And I'm part of, and I hang out with individuals that have defended this country and its ideals and its foundation to provide freedom and personal individual liberties. They've protected that with their life, and they've lost friends who have given their lives for that purpose. That's who I hang out with. It's not a political party. And so anytime ideas and things like this pop up, that's what I'm concerned about. I also have 2 adult children, and I'm worried about their future, where they're going and where their kids are going to see this great nation. So that is what motivates me. You know, the good book tells us something about false idols. Be careful with that. Be careful who you put up there, because then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what they do, you seem to be in support of it. And trust me, if they're a politician, they're going to disappoint you sooner or later. It's just the way the stuff works, man. Not a hack at their character, just the way the job seems to unfold, at least in the 53 years that I've been watching it and been around. That's what I've seen. Hey, let me know what you think. Make sure to smash that subscribe. Tight lines. Be safe. Take care of each other. God bless.